I'm sure you've had an issue trying to find something that you didn't know the name of. This is the importance of file naming convention. At its core, it's an identifier for an asset or an article that you are going to use. This could be a music file, this can be a design file, this can be an image, whatever it is. Having a file structure is very, very valuable across the board. This is why I can't stress enough the importance of a file naming convention, especially in the design world. Now let's talk about some reasons why file names and having a structured way can help us improve our design workflow. One reason to start developing a file naming structure and convention is to keep things in order. Now, we all have those images or those design files where they're .1, 2, 3, same name, same everything. Super frustrating. When you establish an order and create a discipline for those guidelines, when you start to archive and when you have to sort of put those files away and store them, you'll have a better recall for them. You can access them and have the organization in place so you or someone else who can pick up that file later knows exactly what they're working with. Another important thing about creating file naming conventions is it's scalable for teams. You can set a set of guidelines that help everyone on the team work faster and more efficiently when they know exactly what to look for. As a solopreneur or someone who's kind of an IC, you might have your own naming convention, and that may be right for you as long as it's structured. But within teams, you need to build some sort of guidelines for everyone to follow and adhere to so that all the team can reference things appropriately. Now, this will always evolve as files, different pieces of assets, and as technology changes, so does some of our workflows. So keep that in mind. Another important reason to maintain file naming is for centralized information, right? Everything is all in one place. I did a video previously about the importance of that and working with teams. I'll link that so you can check that out. But essentially, you can maintain the location, storage, all of the assets you needed for not only you and your team, but for other cross-functional team members to access to if they need to. This gives us great control and great flexibility around working with major projects that require many assets or many design features, and then just team dynamics overall. Again, one North Star, one set location, one centralized hub for all of your important design and asset files. Another reason is standardization. We talked about setting guidelines and taking control, but standardization, it's very important because you set a standard, you set a functional way for everyone to get on board with. That helps reduce confusion. It helps reduce frustrations and trying to think of what to do. Set your team up for success. By centralizing these things, you can set your team and yourself up for success simply because you have so much at your disposal that is already set in place. Then you use your brain power and what you've been here for to excel in the work. Another reason is there's easier version control. When you have major accounts or different files that work within different team members, some people have different access to those files, whether you have admin or CRUD rights or just view or share only. Version control lets you maintain the permissions as well as the versioning, the type that is happening within the product team. Many times people love to V1, V2, final. You can maintain consistency over a lot of that stuff and not name it final. One of the last and final reasons that you should establish a naming convention is for the cost. I saved the best for last. It's free. It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you any more money. You're not going to take away from your budget. You're not going to take away from any bottom line from the business. It is free. It's absolutely free. Absolutely free. That's $0. Who doesn't like free? I like free. For as many things that you can enjoy about creating a file naming convention, there are some cons or challenges that people face for this. One of those things is that it's time consuming. It requires a bit of front end time for you to establish a key or legend as to how you'd like to create this file structure. It also takes time for you to appropriately file them and have a set process for when you start projects, save projects, share projects, all of that. The upfront effort to do and create these guidelines around file naming will cost you. It can be timely. And that is something that people struggle with. They want to get right down to the creative stuff. That's another reason why it is a challenge for most people. It removes the creative process and the creative work that many of us aspire to continue doing. And it establishes an admin side, one that is organized, structured, more business oriented. And that can be a buzzkill for a lot of creatives. If you were looking for more reasons, I don't have any. The pros will always outweigh the challenges when it comes to creating a file naming structure. There are so many benefits that will help you move through projects faster, design faster and more efficiently, but also create and establish a set process with your team that'll make you look, feel, and become a product design rock star. Trust me. I don't have all the answers, but I do have some examples. After working with a few agencies and large organizations, I've kind of created my own, and this can vary depending on which type or which particular organization you're in. This can vary for project to project, asset to asset, but the overall structure is still the same. As a matter of fact, let's dive into a quick example so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So in this example, I'm going to show you how I set up my design files for naming. Usually they're broken down between the feature number, the view number, and then the revision of that number, followed by a dash with this feature name, that screen name type, and then dash the screen. So usually the number, the feature number, the first number you see will always be tied to the feature name. So the first name you'll see after the numbers. And as you can see, I try to order these in a way that's a little bit intuitive as you work through the files. So you'll see some that have default selections, some that have selection states. And these are just to get a sense of what to expect when working through these files. Now, I won't send all of these to a client because selection states just happen. I'll make that in the prototype, but it's a good way to reference. A lot of it's not really rocket science. Most of it's just taking the time, setting all the upfront layout for things, the structure, the organization, kind of things of that nature, and then just implementing it as you start your creative process. It helps later, especially when you need to package that and put it in a report or offer it to a client so that you have references. It's much fluid. So that's all I got today, putting together some examples so you can understand both the pros and limitations of creating a file naming structure for you and your team. If this video helped you in any way, give it a thumbs up. And do me a favor, share it with someone you feel can benefit from just getting their lives and their files organized. Also, consider subscribing because I'd like to have you join the fun. In the meantime, in between time, you know that your life has color, so make sure you design it that way. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care.